Yeah. We are back. And we are about to do Badass Women in Herstory. Now, we went back to the Wild West. Because I lose track. I was supposed to just do all Wild West women for a while, but mixed it up. This is another West. Sarah A. Bowman. Let's see. I printed out extra words that I don't need to read. She was born Sarah Knight, which is a cool name with the K. In 1813 in Tennessee or Clay County, Missouri. She died December 22nd, 1866 in Fort Yuma, California, U.S. Other names: the Great Western Heroine of Fort Brown. Occupation: innkeeper, restaurateur, and madam. Her spouses: her first one was unknown. The second one was Borghini. Her third was Alfred J. Bowman. So Sarah A. Bowman, also known as Sarah Borghini or Sarah Bourdet, was an Irish-American innkeeper, restaurateur, and madam, as I said before. Okay, let me keep going. She gained fame and the title Heroine of Fort Brown as a camp follower of Zachary Taylor's army during the Mexican-American War. Following the war, she operated an inn in Franklin, Texas, which is now El Paso, before settling near Arizona City, now Yuma, Arizona. Over the course of her life, she was married multiple times, often without legal record or the blessing of a priest, and was known at various times by the names Borghini, Bourget, just other Davis, Bowman, and possibly Foyle. Following her death, she was brevetted an honorary colonel and buried with military honors in the Fort Yuma Cemetery. Her story became part of American popular culture. I never heard of her until today. Well, actually, until I looked, it was like a list. Bowman is believed to have been born Sarah Knight sometime between 1812 and 1813. The 1860 census indicates her birth may have occurred as late as 1818 in either Tennessee or Clay County, Missouri. Raised on the American frontier, she received no formal education. I need to turn down the music. Hold on, guys. This song is the loudest song. It's so crumb. Dance break. Okay. Can I dance? So, she was raised on the American frontier, no education, is believed to have been illiterate due to her use of an X on business and census forms. Despite the inability to read and write, she was bilingual by her later years, with the priest near Fort Yuma noting that she was the first American woman he had met fluent in Espanol. Physically, Bowman was an unusually large woman, standing 6 feet tall and reportedly weighing 200 pounds. She was described as a remarkably large, well-proportioned, strong woman of strong nerves and great physical power. Other observers noted she had an hourglass figure. Due to her large size, she was nicknamed the Great Western, an apparent reference to the SS Great Western, for a time the largest ship afloat. Bowman also possessed skills to complement her Amazon-like physique. Texas Ranger John Salmon Ford said of her, "She could whip any man, fair, fight, or foul, could shoot a pistol better than anyone in the region, and at blackjack could outplay or outcheat the slickest professional gambler." Several tales are told of Bowman in her early years. Well, I'm running out of ink. The first is that she and her husband had accompanied Zachary Taylor during this campaign during the Seminole Wars. There's no record of a woman matching Bowman's description accompanying Taylor, but such an event would help explain her later loyalty to him. I mean, why would they write her down? A second tale claims Bowman was in love with Taylor. If this is true, there is no evidence the affection was returned. Man, I'm sensing a lot of hate on whoever wrote this shit. Mexican-American War. The first documented record of Bowman appears in 1845 at Jefferson Barracks, Missouri. When her husband enlisted in the 7th Infantry, she signed on as a laundress, a position that included food, shelter, and the opportunity to earn a salary 3 times that earned by an Army private. That's crazy. But I get it. I guess? I don't know. From Jefferson Barracks, she accompanied the Army to Corpus Christi Bay. By the time the Army arrived in July of 1845, her duties included cook and nurse in addition to the laundry. When they see you're capable, man, they'll make you do a bunch of shit. Even if, until you decide you can't do it anymore. The Army remained encamped among the Nueces River till March 1846, almost a year. Or more when they received, I'm not doing math right now, when they received orders to advance to the Rio Grande. Instead of following her husband, who was ill, and most of the military wives on ships down the coast, Bowman purchased a wagon and mule team and followed the Army on land. She handled the trek with skills the best teamster in the train might have envied. The first encounter between American and Mexican forces came on March 21st, 1846, during the crossing of Arroyo, Colorado. As the Americans approached the steep embankment, bugles rang out on the other bank, accompanied by the warning, "Cross this stream and you will be shot." Upon seeing the column halted, Bowman rode to the front and told the commander, "If the general would give me a strong pair of tongs, I'd wade that river and whip every scoundrel that dared show himself." In addition to the tool, tongs was at the time slang for men's trousers. Inspired by her example, the American troops made the crossing, scattering the opposing troops in the process. She inspired them, bro. She was like, I don't give a fuck. Heroine of Fort Brown. Sarah Borghini depicted as the... Oh, that's because of a picture of that. By May of 1846, Bowman was married to her second husband, a man named Borghini, spelling's varied. Her husband was assigned to Fort Texas, later renamed Fort Brown, where she operated an officer's mess, like the mess hall, I guess. When Taylor withdrew the majority of his troops to confront the Mexican army near the coast, forces in Matamoros, stationed directly across the Rio Grande, responded by besieging the fort. The Mexican bombardment began May 3rd at 5 a.m. While most of the women in the fort retreated to the bunkers to sew sandbags, Borghini remained at her cooking fire and served breakfast at 7 a.m. For the next week, she prepared food and coffee for the besieged fort, carrying buckets of coffee to the troops manning the fort's guns, even finding time to care for the wounded and other women. Her schedule of 3 meals daily was continued, even though bullets struck both her bonnet and bread tray. She also requisitioned a musket in case the fort was stormed. Following the siege, Borghini became... I hope I'm saying that right. Borghini came to the attention of U.S. newspapers, who named her the heroine of Fort Brown. Stories of her exploits were published in both Philly and New York City. One correspondent even went out of his way to extol her virtues and fight any tongues of slander that might be directed toward her character. The press, media always been doing that shit, trying to start some shit. If anybody talks shit about this woman, nobody was trying to talk shit. Battle of Buena Vista. Following Fort Brown, I like Borghini, but I think it's Borghini, briefly established a boarding house called the American House in Matamoros. In addition to food, lodging, and stables for soldiers' horses, the establishment also served as a saloon and brothel. What's up? This establishment proved quite popular, with one soldier describing it as the headquarters for everyone. As Taylor's force moved into Mexico, the American House moved with the army, first to Monterrey and then to Saltillo. While Borguines was not involved in the Battle of Monterrey, she did see action during the Battle of Buena Vista. During the conflict, she prepared food and coffee, reloaded weapons, and carried wounded off the field of battle. Damn. That's heavy. Like, literally, people are fucking heavy. Her attention to the injured even earned her the nickname Dr. Mary. Legend claims she received a saber wound to the cheek while working a cannon position before slaying the Mexican soldier who cut her. Another incident involves a retreat in private. The soldier ran into Borguines' restaurant yelling that Taylor had been defeated. She responded by punching the private in the face and telling him, "You damn son of a bitch, there ain't Mexicans enough in Mexico to whip old Taylor. You just spread that report and I'll beat you to death." Damn. It's kind of funny. During the battle, Borguines learned that Captain George Lincoln, a friend that had joined the army at the same time as her husband, had been killed. Not wishing to have his body stripped, she searched for him during the battle. Upon finding him, she brought back the body to Saltillo and made sure he was properly buried. After the battle, she purchased Lincoln's horses at auction, beating a $75 bid with a $200 offer, and made arrangements for the horse to be sent to the captain's family. Damn, she a real one. Following her actions upon the field of battle, traditions maintain that General Winfield Scott ordered a military pension for Borguines. Later life. Following the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, the U.S. Army prepared to depart northern Mexico. By this time, Borguines' second husband had left her. Whether by death or abandonment is unknown. She wished to accompany the departing troops to Cali, but was informed that only military wives were allowed to join the column. In response, she mounted her horse, rode through the soldiers, and shouted, "Who wants a wife with $15,000 and the biggest leg in Mexico? Come, my beauties, don't all speak at once. Who is the lucky man?" Eventually, a dragoon named either Davis or David E. volunteered on condition that a priest perform the marriage ceremony. Her response to this was, "Bring your blanket to my tent tonight, and I will learn you to tie a knot that will satisfy you, I reckon." Damn. By early 1849, she had no fear. Following a brief illness, the Great Western arrived in Franklin, which is now El Paso, Texas. Without a husband, and again using her second husband's name, there she established an inn that catered to people traveling across the country as part of the California Gold Rush. So I wonder if that dude died or something, David or Davis. In the process, she became known as El Paso's first Anglo woman and the town's first madam, gaining a reputation as a whore with a heart of gold. Why is there no movie of this? By early 1850, Borguines had moved up to the Rio Grande to the town of Socorro. There she lived with a man named Juan Duran and 5 girls, possibly orphans, with the last name of Skinner. Whoa, she finally hooked up with a Mexican after the war. Shortly thereafter, she married Alfred J. Bowman, a dragoon in the U.S. Army. Following his discharge on November 30th, 1850, the couple moved west, Fort Yuma. Well, I'm not sure if she actually hooked up with him. She just lived with him. Bowman arrived at Yuma Crossing in 1852. Yuma's first business operator. She cooked and did laundry for the officers of Fort Yuma while her husband prospected. One of the fort soldiers noted she has been with the Army 20 years and was brought up where she keeps the officers mess. Among her other good qualities, she's an admirable pimp. She used to be a splendid looking woman and has done good service, but is too old for that now. Damn. After a time, Bowman opened a hotel near the fort, along with other businesses near Fort Buchanan and Patagonia, Arizona. In addition to her business interests, she adopted a number of Mexican and Indian children. That's dope. Bowman died December 22nd, 1866 from a spider bite. This is definitely a movie. Following her death, she was brevetted in honorary colonel and buried with military honors in the Fort Yuma Cemetery. In 1890, following the decommissioning of Fort Yuma, She was exhumed and reburied at San Francisco National Cemetery in a grave marked Sarah A. Bowman. That was 15 exactly. I'ma start get rapping. Cause they might start attacking. If your homies start slacking. Man, they better start backing up. Cause I'm about to start attacking. What? Yeah, I got the whole captain on the, I don't know. I was gonna freestyle to this other beat. Man, appreciate y'all for joining once again. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, posting, caring, roasting. You know, it's all good. Let's see. Let me find the beat and we'll come right back and I'll do a freestyle and end it. Yeah.